Hey everybody, it's Rajesh here.
And Tane here.
Welcome to our podcast, Baskets of Knowledge, Chats with a Difference. In our podcast, we invite guests from around the country and around the world to talk about how they got to where they're at the moment. It's about a journey, it's about an experience, it's about their life. Kia ora koutou, everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of 2023. I say episode 2, but you can listen at any point in time, so let's just forget about numbers. As always, we appreciate you listening on. Tane, what have you learned since we last spoke? What has you been to your basket knowledge?
I guess probably the big thing for me recently has been COVID. Unfortunately, I got COVID after getting back into the swing of things and getting amped up and ready to go for 2023. But I think it was a good time to get it. You know, there wasn't any major things that I had to do or anything like that. And it also taught me a lot about, you know, how much I appreciate my social interactions. And, you know, it's just small things that you don't really realize you'd miss until I wasn't able to do them, you know. And because I had flatmates here, it was pretty much just my room and the bathroom, you know, like I didn't go for a walk or anything because the weather was pretty average. So yeah, definitely a good time to reflect. And, you know, although it did suck, it was a good time to reflect.
And it's so crazy because I mean you lived in a hole for almost 2 years and you had all the chances of getting sick and then them happen. So crazy. But like you said, probably the best time, but also probably a good time for you at the start of your next journey to reflect about what becomes important for you. You know, we're so busy doing things that we forget about what things are actually important for you until you stop and are forced. You have no choice to stay in your room, right? So probably the good time. Awesome. And I guess for me it's the same thing with reflection, having finished a really big project with hands-on project, you know. It was the first year doing it after COVID, and we've been doing it for a very long time. And it's always good to sit back and reflect and think about, okay, cool, we've been doing it for a very long time. What changes can we make? Why should we make changes? If we should make changes, what's good, what's bad? You know, so many times in our life we just do things just because, you know, we just, you know, I ran a summit this weekend and one of the speakers spoke about something really cool. And he basically said, you know, when we're born, think of your fingers are just like this. Yeah. So you're born and your life is just like this and you can do anything you want. This is your life, right? And then at the age of 7, we get locked into a thing. You know, your ideas are formed, whatever those ideas are, and then you start living your life just like this year, just like this year. And I think that happens with anything in our life. If we just do something, we just keep doing it until somebody goes, "What the hell are you doing?" and then pushes you off that, and you got to rethink that. And I think, you know, this is what's a big learning for me over the last week or so is actually, hey, how many times do we just do the cycle because we locked into it through culture, through whatever it is, and we just need someone to come with a different perspective. So, and as I go into New Year, that's pretty important for me because, yeah, my job is pretty cyclical. So, yeah, so that's my learning. But hey, the two of us can keep rambling on as we go. We can always do that there, but it's not about you or I, Tane. Sorry, I know you love to chat, but nope. We scour the country as always to find guests, and as our loyal listeners know, we every single person that we have on here we think is amazing, and every person gives us a story that we want to share with you. And this is no different with this week's guest. And this week we'd like to introduce Lachie to our podcast. Welcome to Baskets of Knowledge, Lachie.
G'day, guys. Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate being invited. Yeah, it's a privilege to be on Baskets of Knowledge.
No, fantastic. Thank you. I mean, for our listeners out there, we've been trying to get Lachie in for a few months, but he's a very busy man, and we'll hear about why. So it's our privilege to have him on. Lachie, for our listeners out there, do you want to tell them a bit about who you are and where you are at this stage in your life? And then we'll get into a bit of a conversation.
G'day, guys. I'm Lachlan Fleming. I'm a 20-year-old student at Otago University. I've grown up in Taranaki in just out of New Plymouth, about 40 minutes south. Grew up on a farm out there and attended the good old high school, Francis Douglas. I've seen a couple podcasts or heard a podcast of Rory. He was on here a few podcasts ago. Another good Francis Douglas bloke. But yeah, I'm in my third year at university. I'm studying a Bachelor of Entrepreneurship and with a minor in Agriculture Innovation and a major in Marketing. So a bit of a mix.
Yeah.
But
that's just study. So what about the other side of you, Lachie? What else do you do?
The other side of me, Rajesh. So I'm right into my businesses. I've got a couple of wee startups myself. It's a real passion of mine. One of them I've started with a friend back in 2019, actually. It's a reselling clothes page. And me and my friend Liam Mills, shout out to Liam, we've been, grinding away at the secondhand clothes game for a long time now. And we've got a real strong passion for especially rugby jerseys. So anybody listening out there, if you got some rugby jerseys in the closet, don't feel afraid to hit up old baskets of knowledge and let me know.
Oh, brilliant, awesome. I love that because there's more to a person than the study, and we'll go down the avenue and why you started that with Liam, and shout out to Liam as well. This is an awesome idea, and we'll get into that a bit later on. So let's reverse and let's go back to Lockie as a year 13. So Lockie, you're finishing school, and you live in Taranaki. You have all these choices in front of you, and when I met you all those years ago, you weren't too sure. You're like, okay, which is normal. It's okay for you to not know what to do. And at that point in time, if I said to you, hey, Lockie, this is what you'd be doing, you'd be going to university, you'd be doing entrepreneurship and agriculture, what would you say to me?
You're right, Prajesh. Yeah, I was quite confused. I didn't know what to do actually in year 13. I was considering doing either Victoria or going to Victoria or Lincoln, just because I'm brought up on the agriculture side of things. I really wanted to pursue that side of that sector. But I remember you coming in and giving a good speech and a good spiel. I just thought, I got real close between Vic and Otago, and I just did the pros and the cons for myself. And I'm a sporty person. I enjoy wide open spaces. I'm not the biggest fan of concrete. Too much concrete around. As they say, Wellington's a concrete jungle. So, I wanted to give rowing a crack. So, sounded like Otago had a great rowing team. And, there's just too many positives about Otago. So I ended up going there. And, to answer your question, if I could see myself, I would never see myself like this if I look back 3 years ago. You couldn't tell me I was going to do entrepreneurship, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I love that because lots of our listeners out there, they range a whole spectrum of people that are studying like yourself, people that are in the year 12, year 13, and people think they know what they have to do, and you get to a stage where you're like, oh, I have to know what I want to do, but actually, as you said, you had no idea, and then you just took a leap of faith. There was no wrong decision. There was just a decision you had to make, and you weighed up the pros and cons for you. I think the important thing was it was about you, not about mom or dad, not about me, not about your best friend. It's about what was best for you at that point in time.
Exactly. And don't get me wrong, mum and dad, especially mum wanted me to go to Massey. I never considered it. She just wanted me to be close to home, but I ended up going the furthest away I could for some reason. But just taking that leap and going all the way down south, I've just grown and I've met so many great people down there, and the university has been just an amazing experience. I can't fault it.
Fantastic. Let's talk about your childhood. So growing up in an agricultural background, what is that like for you? So is it a dairy farm, or what kind of stuff do you do on the farm?
Yeah, so I grew up on a dairy farm out the coast of Taranaki.
Yeah.
My dad and mum and dad have been working on there since I've was born. So dad's always been into farming and dairy farming. So it's a different upbringing. I go to a small town school. I went to a little town school called Rahuru. I think the population, the students there were about 100. It's not too small, but growing up, just got out there, get it done, enjoyed the motorbikes, learn how to drive at a young age, help dad on the farm, milk a few cows. Yeah, so it's a good upbringing, and it I believe it humbled me. It showed me what real hard work looked like. I see mum and dad working hard. Dad's out there at middle of the night checking the cows, making sure they're all right, waking up early doors, getting out there and rain, hail or shine, and milking those cows. So they've been real great role models, and growing up on that side of things out the agriculture sector, it's just show me what hard work is, and you don't get anywhere without it. So that's the kind of the moral I live by.
Which is awesome, because in New Zealand, agriculture is one of our biggest industries, if not the biggest industry. So, growing up in that industry is like basically the backbone of New Zealand life. It's essentially, look at it that way, they are part of the backbone. But also the interesting thing is lots of people in Taranaki live this lifestyle, right? It is very prominent for lots of people. So what is it like for you to go from the small 100 school students, tiny school, to an urban school, to Francis Douglas? Was that a big major shift for you?
Yeah, no, that was a huge shift for me actually. Well, at the time, mum and dad just ended up chucking. Well, it was a bit of a tricky situation because I was going to stay at that small town school till I was year 9, and then start boarding at Francis Douglas. But plans changed, and I actually went to Francis Douglas halfway through year 7.
Oh, wow.
So I left everything I knew behind at Rahuru and jumped into the deep end of the pool, heading to Francis Douglas. So it was a bit of a culture shock. It was a lot of it was different, that's for sure. So for the first few months there, I did struggle a bit just trying to find out what group I wanted to go in and stuff like that. But yeah, once I kind of got the hang of being around so many people at once, especially at a biggest high school like that, I just seemed to thrive. And I love people. I love communicating and chatting and hanging out with friends, being social. So yeah, I believe I started to thrive in high school. Just more
Brilliant.
opportunity. Yeah.
Awesome. I'd love you to think about that and think about your move from New Plymouth to Dunedin. Was it the same sort of thing where you went to go actually, how do I find my people here? Or were you so, like you said before, you're a great social person. Was it much easier for you? Or was it a bit of a, oh, I don't know
To
what's
be
going to happen?
honest,
Yeah.
I thought that it'd be a lot. I thought I'd be quite. I don't know. I thought it'd be quite easy. It's going to just it'd be all good. But it was actually another culture shock for me. It opened my eyes even more going to Dunedin, going to like a university. Just so many more people and different backgrounds and different, just different cultures and religions. It was awesome, especially going to Hall Life.
Yeah.
It was just another step up, to be honest. Just meeting so many more people, and yeah, it was. I've got a friend from Brazil now. Like it's just all over the world. Like, there's people traveling everywhere, and it just feels like so many more people. Yeah, so I think definitely another step up from high school. But once again, I just thrived. I love people, more opportunities, more people to meet. So yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's the beauty of tertiary, whatever tertiary you go to, is you get exposed to such a diverse range of people. We hear of diversity, but people think about diversity based on skin color and that. But it's also the diversity of the brains, the amount of people that come with the different academic background. You go, whoa, because you could be the smartest person at your school, and then you come along to a tertiary provider, like, actually, wait a minute, I know nothing. That's it's a whole different ball game, isn't it?
Yeah, no, you are right, Prajesh. And I being in the halls, it's I was in a Rana, and it was just it humbled you. It humbled me because I just had so many people from all these high schools that were Duxers, head boys, and everyone seemed to be a lot more smarter than I was in some aspect. And I thought that was great too, because you can learn off other people, just listen to what they have to say. And it seems to boost your motivation. For me, being around like-minded people with, even smarter people, it just makes you work harder. So,
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. It's diversity, and especially in the mindset too, and in the way they think. It's awesome.
And I love you said that because, a lot of people get intimidated by other smart people, which is normal. This is human nature. You want to be the best at whatever you are in. But a quote that I like to always bring up is, I don't know who says it, but if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. And to me, that's profound, right? Because like you said before, you can only learn from other people. If you go, cool, I know nothing here. Teach me your ways.
Exactly. You don't know. No one knows everything. So, people specialize in different fields and they know a lot more than you. So, got to be ears sometimes, don't you?
That's right. And Tony, let's bring you into, because you've spoken about this before, coming in from Spotswood to Dunedin. What did that feel like? Because from your school, you were there's only two that came to university, came to Otago. How did you feel being, oh, damn, there's some crazy smart people here? And also not so crazy smart people, the whole range.
Yeah, I think it was definitely the same kind of vibe, like there were times where I thought, like, oh my God, these people are amazing, and I'm never going to be like that. But at the same token, you're right, Lockie. It really does inspire you to be like, okay, I can do these things. But also, you learn that no matter who you are, you always have something to offer someone else, but they also have something to offer you. Whether you are smarter than people or not, or you have different backgrounds. You realize that everyone has something to offer, and that's been the amazing thing. And even just mindsets about going to university, for me it was never a pressure thing, because no one in my immediate family had gone. But I talk to people and they're like, oh well, just getting a degree isn't enough, because in my family they've all got masters or PhDs. And so for me that's just a wow moment. It's like, how is this, but the narrative's different for everyone, and I think that's also the good thing to see, that there's so many different worldviews that when you grow up in one place for your whole life and then you move away, you realize, oh, actually there are so many more views that people have to offer.
Yeah, it's so crazy because everyone's journey is different. Like you said, for some people, just getting to a tertiary provider is as a win. For some people, getting a PhD is the way they've got to go. And there's no right or wrong way. But sometimes we feel like we have to follow a certain path because, like you said, you've got that little cycle thing in your head saying, "Hey, you should be doing this here." Lucky. So your first year, what is it like for you as a person? Were there moments when you said you're a social person, you loved it, you thrived, but were there moments where you're like, actually, I'm not vibing at the moment? Because you were in the COVID year, weren't you? Were you the
I
COVID
was
lockdown
first year
year?
2021, so we did have a couple of lockdowns, not as
Yeah.
hectic as 2020, I think, but
Yes. Yep.
still experienced some COVID effects. Yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, we had to go back. There was a bit of a tough time in the middle of the year where COVID really struck us, and it was kind of the decision: do I stay or do I go?
Yeah.
Do I stay in Dunedin, stay in the hall and get locked in, or do I go back home and stay with my family? It was a real tough call, and at the last minute, yeah, I did make the call to go home just because I thought it'd be a lot easier and a lot better to hang out with the family while I had the chance. So I did have a bit of a break from uni there in that section. So when I came back, I was fully charged and ready to go again. So I think the social battery might have been dying by the stage of COVID hit. So it probably wasn't too bad of an idea going home. So
Yeah.
but that's
So
how I see it. I took COVID as a positive, I guess.
yeah, I love that because
And
you said social person, social battery, take it as a positive, spend some time with the family, and come back again recharged. And then so you live in a hall, you said you love the hall, you met all these amazing cool people, and then you make another shift. Now let's talk about the shift from this hall of about 400 people to going flooding. What is that like for you?
Oh yeah, that was the tough part. I went from the hall to flatting. Obviously, every student has some struggles with flatting, trying to get the right people, the right place, and the right time. And yeah, I was like everyone else. I was just trying to get the best place for the best price, whatever, and the right time, just not to miss out, because there's that sort of FOMO feeling amongst the hall. So I was very, very fortunate to have a good group of friends that we had 3 from Arana and 2 from Unicole, and we're all very close, so it kind of worked out well. And yeah, the transition was a lot easier for me because in Arana I wasn't actually in the hall, I was in a house. I was still part of the hall, but I was situated in a house, as you would know. So I was kind of already living in the flatting conditions with flatting life. There was 5 of us in that house, and then I transitioned to another 5-man house. So that made the transition a lot more smooth. And yeah, I loved second year. I really, really enjoyed it. So for everyone listening that's going to the second year, make sure you enjoy it. It's a great, great time.
Yeah. What are some of what made it so great for you?
Oh, there's a whole list, Pradesh, but we actually got quite lucky, and we were scraping the barrel a bit for flats, but we ended up getting in with uni flats, and they sussed us out a spot in the middle of Castle Street kind of area. So we're right amongst all the riffraff and stuff. So yeah, no, I enjoyed just getting amongst it with everyone else on the street and having a good time. But yeah, also obviously focusing on studies, but it was just a whole nother view on life. It was, what do they say? Second year's the party year for some, so just made the most of it really, Prajesh, and just met a whole
Yeah.
lot of more, like a lot of new people as well, and just got out there and yeah, enjoyed it. Had some good parties, and it was a great experience, to be honest. I look back on it, it's awesome.
Yeah, and I love that because you speak about you're just being real. This is real talk. You found your flat, you were living amongst the social environment, and you just got amongst it, as opposed to some people that be going, oh, this is crazy. Why am I here? Um,
Mm.
and also in amongst this here, you also changed your study as well, right? When you came to Dunedin, you weren't doing entrepreneurship initially. You're doing something else, and then we
Yes,
shifted.
you're
So let's talk about the shift there, because what I love to talk about is how people think everything's all set, but you actually don't know what you don't know. So if I remember correctly, when we did your planning, we spent, hey, let's just plan for everything and then go from there. So what is that like for you? When was the moment you actually, this is what I want to do?
So in my first year of study at university, I did a Bachelor of Commerce with marketing as my major. And I remember talking to you in year 13 and you said just do a commerce degree and then don't do a minor just yet. But then when you get to second year, you can branch out a bit more, just kind of get the hang of everything. I had a crack at computer science. There's a couple extra papers that I didn't do very well in. I have to admit, I didn't pass. Um, so I thought, okay, I need to look on my skills and what my passions are, and just follow them. I was just, yeah, I believe that my strengths lied in business. And Otago actually started to offer Bachelor of Entrepreneurship for the first time ever. It was a brand new degree, and I saw it offered like everything I wanted. Just a bit more hands-on, a bit more business-minded thinking, innovation. So doing what I do best, I flicked you a message, Prajesh, and we had a talk, and yeah, sorted it out. So
Yeah. I think the key thing there was that you followed your passion. You step back and go, actually, what is my jam? So many times people saying follow your passion, and people don't do that there. They go, oh, think about jobs, they think about all the other things. But for you, I mean, most of our guests that we've spoken to actually ended up going, cool, what is our passion? I remember you doing the computer science just to give it a go, and finding your passion. It's quite a scary choice to make, because passion versus job sometimes are two polar opposite things. But you didn't let that scare you at that time,
yeah,
or or did it?
I definitely it did scare me, Prajesh, because I looked into it and I thought, oh my year, I'm going to increase my study time by 1 year if I do change my degree. Do I want to increase my study time to follow my passion, or is it the right move? Is a new degree going to be
Yeah,
recognized as much as it is commerce? So I just took the leap, and I ended up just having a chat to you. You kind of guided me through everything. So I changed, followed my passion with entrepreneurship, and I ended up picking up an agriculture paper as well.
yeah,
Fell in love with both papers, fell in love with it, and I just absolutely loved it this last year just been. Um,
yeah,
I'm so glad I followed my passion, and I wasn't very, you know, how do you say it? Just focused on what the future brings, more so what I'm doing in the moment, I feel.
yeah,
I
yeah,
wasn't worried about the jobs and the money as such, but I reckon that I'd be more successful if I did follow my passions. I just don't want to do a thing when I'm older, be in a job that I don't enjoy or I don't necessarily like. And I'm sure everyone else out there is the same.
yeah.
So just followed my passions, and I don't regret it one bit.
Yeah, and the passion, like you were born in agriculture. That's part of your life, and you just brought it back in because you go, hey, this is part of my life, whether you like it or not. It's going to be part of your life. It's a bit similar to my story. I've grown up in a family where most of my family are health professionals, and I just avoided that whole thing there. But I ended up doing my master's and most of my postgrad study in health, because something just pulls you back to the passion. it's so weird how that happens. It's a crazy thing. And Tanya, I mean, you had the same quandary. We've spoken this many times about passion versus job outcome, and you've done the same thing as well, because for you finished up your degree, and when we spoke last year, you were not too sure what to do, whether you should go teaching or whether you should spend another year. And now that you've signed up for another year of study, have you started realizing, okay, this is the year I would like to go down to?
Yes and no. It's been daunting. I think the hard part has been, after graduation, you see a lot of your mates go. That's not many people pursue postgrad study, or they go and do more like hands-on approaches. So like there's a lot to going and doing strength and conditioning or performance analysis. So they're looking at other areas. But for me, I was like, is it worth doing this, or do I change again? But I think I'm really looking forward to what this year has to bring and just toughing it out. But I think also, in my undergrad, I was fortunate that I could, I had room to try different papers. And I think something I look back on specifically is not being able to take a second year psych paper, because I'd only taken one of the first year psych papers. And when I reflect on that, part of me is like, oh, it bugs me that I didn't, I couldn't do more psychology. But at the same time, I reflect and I go, since I didn't take that second year psychology paper, instead, I got to take my multi paper, and now I've taken 3 conversational multi papers, and that's opened up the whole new realm of me learning more about myself as well. So it's been a really good experience.
That's awesome. That's really cool, because, like you said, you've had space to add other things into your program which you would never have done before. Let's go back to your passion, Lockie. So, in your intro, you also spoke about the business that you started in 2019. So entrepreneurship is, and that is definitely a passion. What is your reason for starting your wee business?
Sorry, Prajesh, what one's that?
The thrift, the NLP thrift, the one you started in 2019. What is in 2019?
What was my goal for that? It was just to follow. Well, I enjoyed selling clothes. I enjoyed clothes, first of all, sorry, and I enjoyed rugby. I'm a passionate rugby player. So when I saw people with awesome old vintage rugby jerseys and stuff hanging on their wall when I went around, I just thought that those are so cool. And then that's when the fire was lit, I believe. So I haven't stopped since. Me and my friend Liam have just gathered a nice wee collection, and now we've got a page with over 2,000 followers, and we sell quite a fair bit of stuff, and it helps pay for little things like petrol or a bit of rent, and even food when I'm down studying in Dunedin. So that's what it's just a little side hustle, that one. So, and I don't see it finishing anytime soon. So I enjoy it.
And how do you go about sourcing your products? So I follow your page. I think it's fantastic. But for our listeners out there, how do you go, right? Cool, because there's so many ideas out there, and your shop is one of the ones that I see is one of the really successful ones with the way you just promote yourself there. But rugby jerseys, where do you find them?
So we don't just sell rugby jerseys; we sell everything secondhand. From shoes to t-shirts to hoodies. But sourcing is definitely the hardest part with the secondhand business. We didn't do anything like buying from overseas, anything like that. We keep it very local. We support our hospice shops, all our op shops. We support very much. We just keep on the grind, really, and just go in there, check it out, see how it goes. If there's something there we like, we pick it up, and if we like it, we believe other people like it. So mainly it is op shops and social media as well. A lot of Facebook Marketplace, just Trade Me and so on. There's always good deals out there. You just got to find them, and that's the hardest part. You just really got to put the time and effort in. I've kind of slacked off it a little bit lately. My friend Liam, he's done outstanding with finding stuff. He'll love this, but he just found our John Olomu players jersey from 1998 for $40.
Oh wow!
And oh god, it's a grail. It's unbelievable when people share it and people blow up about it. It's amazing. So he giving him credit, he helps me. He's got as much as I do in that business, and he's ticks along pretty well. So yes, good on you, Liam.
Good on you, Liam. And that I'm sure that rugby chairs will get a lot of attention over the next few while.
That's huge. Yeah, it's got a lot of attention. Even a news reporter shared it. So we've had
wow.
that's helped us a bit. We've done a few giveaways and so on. So there's a few tactics going on, trying to
Awesome.
get attention.
Yeah. And then is there another business that you're working on as well at the same time, or is that your main?
So I've kind of put that on the back burner at the moment. I've started a clothing brand called Pest to Society. It's kind of targets people around my age that enjoy having a good time, and are just seen as pests from the older generation. It's kind of looked down upon those kind of people. So we're enjoying having a good time, but maybe not doing what society wants us to do. That's what I believe the brand's about.
Awesome. And what is your inspiration around that there? What's the origin story?
The origin story. So I was sitting in my room in 2020 with once again Liam, and I just came up with we were having a ponder over names, and Pest to Society came up in my head for some weird reason, and then I started sketching down designs and names and stuff like that, and then it stayed on the back burner while I focused on getting into uni and everything like that. And I made one jersey, and all the boys loved it. They thought it was great. So I always thought, okay, I need to pursue this passion. It's going to be a bit of a money pit to start, but I need to pursue it. And then I put it on the back burner once again, but unfortunately in November 2021, one of the boys that loved it so much, and one of my best friends, Geordie Adams, he sadly passed away in a river accident. And with that accident, it was a very tough time for all of us, his family, his friends, even just the community. It was such a tough time. And then it was a very, very tough time once again. But then I thought, okay, how do I turn this tough time into a good memory? And I thought, bugger it, I'll use this Pest to Society brand that he loved so much when I showed him, and I'll actually make a memorial hoodie in honor of him. And I worked on it for months and months and months. I did some late nights on it, and ended up just getting such an amazing piece, I believe. And I got it hand drawn by an artist, a cartoon photo of him. Had to get it all done, from scratch. I had no photo of him holding a beer, so had to make one in his favorite jersey. Spent months and months and a fair bit of money on it, and then I thought, okay, righto, it's coming up to his anniversary of his passing. I'll put these up for sale and see if anyone wants them. I thought it'd be a cool thing to have everyone wearing them with this face on the back, and I was just blown away with the support and the amount of traction I got with it. Unreal. The families and his friends. Yeah, I ended up selling 127, I think, hoodies. Wow. 4 days or 5 days, which is just unreal. It was almost overwhelming to the point of like, holy cow, like this is hectic. I've got to make a good job of this, otherwise, I'll be seen as, doing it for the wrong reasons. All that sort of stuff, all those implications. So I really put my heart and soul into that piece of work with the hoodie, and I'm so happy how it came out, and I've just had great feedback, and it was amazing. Now I walk around town and I can see people in it wearing my hoodie with Geordie's face on the back, and it just warms my heart. So I've got such a good feedback from that, and the response from the people, and so I thought, okay, right, I'll carry it on. So I'm carrying on that business, and I'm really looking at scaling it up this year. Coming 2023 is our year, eh?
Oh, brilliant. That's really fantastic. I have to applaud you for doing that while you were doing university study as well. But what I loved about that was it wasn't about the money. It wasn't about the outcome in terms of this is good for me. It was just about hey, this is your mate who passed away. We shall talk about it in a bit, and this is just a tribute to him, and the fact that it's a testament also to the community. Taranaki is a small place, and as you said before, when the tragedy happened, it didn't just affect the family, it affected the whole community because everybody knows everybody. So I need to applaud you for that was your motivator, that was your why. It wasn't about you. And hey, when you do stuff because the motivation is the purpose is bigger than the motivation for money, it's always going to be a success. So yeah, my hats off to you.
Oh, thank you very much, Rajesh.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. And yeah, I just yeah, no way was I ever going to do that for the money. I just wanted to honor my best friend. And I think he'd be looking down very, very proud, I hope. So I priced the jerseys very accordingly. And yeah, I think, just the support and the community in Taranaki, just like you've said, it's very small, but man, they bond together. It's a strong place. Well, they call us Taranaki hardcore for a reason, don't they?
Yeah, totally. And I'm sure Tane smiles because the two of you from that region there, and I have the pleasure of meeting all you awesome people. So I'm very, very lucky. But now we're going to switch it up a little bit, and let's, if you don't mind, let's talk about the passing away of your friend, because I still remember reading that in the news when it all happened because it's all so sudden. Do you want to tell us about how that happened and where were you when it all unfolded, I guess?
Yeah, so it was a tricky time in my life. One of my close family members wasn't too well. They were in hospital, so it wasn't very good. And this is just before exams at the end of end of 2021. So I was already in a bit of a tough situation there, and I wanted to get home. I brought a van for $1,000. I brought a van for $1,000 into Dunedin, and it was an absolute shitter. I'm sorry for swearing, but it was absolute poo. And yeah, I wanted to do the van life thing, so I went ahead with that. But anyway, when uni all finished up and I was heading back home because I was driving my van up to New Plymouth, which was a gamble alone. I went to Wanaka first with my best friend, one of my good friends, Jackson Cathy. And that night when we got there on the 13th of November, just got to Wanaka and we heard the news that Geordie had gone missing down a river. He'd jumped in about, I think it was about 8 or 7 o'clock at night or around that, into the Waiwakaia River up by a jumping spot called Telecom. It was in flood, and Geordie just must have not made the right decision at the right time and just jumped in, and sadly got swept away. It was extremely emotional time. And when I first figured out that he'd gone missing, I just felt so hopeless and helpless. Sorry, that I couldn't do anything because I was in Wanaka, and this is all happening in New Plymouth. But luckily our friend group's real strong. The boys are all down there looking for him and his family, everything. And unfortunately, an hour or two passed and no one could find him. I was still sitting in Wanaka with Jackson trying to figure out what to do. And then we heard the news that, he'd been found at the river mouth, passed away, unfortunately. So tragic time, very, very hard time. But so me and Jackson had to make a decision at the time, like, shit, okay, we're not going to drive up anymore. We need to get home. His funeral is going to be in a week's time. And my van, I don't know if I'm going to get home in this thing. It goes 80 Ks and there's no stereo or air conditioning. So was not too keen on boosting that home, especially with that news in my head. So the next morning shot to Christchurch, flew up, and one of our good mates, and because we couldn't get to New Plymouth, so one of our good mates, Matthew Gower, picked us up and drove us all the way to New Plymouth. And then the next few days after that was just grieving and with his family. And he was only 18 at the time. Jordan Adams was his name, and it was just an absolute shock to the community. They put a rahui on down near the bridge to honour him. And because he was cremated, he doesn't have a gravestone, so we kind of started using the bridge as a place to go.
Yep.
So we all congregated around the Te Wera Bridge, the Wauwabone Bridge in New Plymouth. I hope I pronounced that right. yeah, so we had his funeral about a week later, and I was very fortunate enough to speak at the funeral, which was once again was a very, very tough situation, tough time in my life, but we got it done, got up there and said my words to him, and so it was definitely a struggle. I had to fly back down and pick my van up after that. And luckily, thank God, I made it home all right in one piece. So so that was how I found out and where I was at the time. But it still took a long time to get over that.
Yeah. No, thank you for sharing that. And I appreciate it because this person was a really close person to you. Like Jordan Adams is really close to you, and you can still see the emotion when you speak about he was the motivation for you to start your clothing brand. He was the motivation for you to get back as quick as you can. So that you say there it took a long time to get over it, and you might not get over the tragedy, but I'm sure you're appreciating his friendship even more and just who he was as a person, the celebration of his life as a young person. But it's so crazy because life doesn't prepare you for these. It's so crazy. This is for everybody out there. We go to school, we go to university, we learn all these things here, but life throws a tragedy and you're like, how do I do this here? What in my life has prepared me for this? And nothing. You could be the smartest person, you could be the most wealthiest person in the whole wide world, and this happens, and you go, how do I deal with it? And the fact that you were able to speak, I'm sure it was hard. That's a testament as well to your character that they asked you to speak as well. So I'm going to take my hat off and acknowledge that. And it's really interesting because every time I go past it, for those of you out there that have never been to New Plymouth or Taranaki, I think it has the best bridge in the whole wide world. The Te Rewara Bridge is probably my favorite bridge. It is a very iconic bridge. So just the way it's been built is just beautiful, and it's got so much meaning. So for young Geordie Adams to have that as his memorial as such is really pretty special. I would think.
I back you up on that one, Pajesh, and it's a beautiful spot in the country. I believe I go to Dunedin and I travel around the country on the way back up, and there's New Zealand's beautiful, but that's I do believe is one of the top spots. We're very fortunate enough that his parents have kindly donated a seat down by the bridge now, down by the river where he's found. So now we've got a bit of a spot to actually go and sit and have our lunch and remember him properly. So so that's just adds to the scenery. Yeah, I can look out there and enjoy the view.
Yeah, and what a great place. I'm sure it's fantastic for you. And if you was alive, you'd be doing the same thing. You'd be out there in that exact spot, enjoying the views. So that is a really powerful story, and we've had people in the past that have, it's interesting because we've had a speaker in the past as well who spoke about loss as well when they were at Spotswood as well. So but the loss has changed him and just brought out so much of his character as a person. So that happens in your world. So you have this happening here. You have your exams going on here, and then you have to come back to reality to drive your van back. So what is the inspiration to buy the van though? I want to go back to that. So why spend $1,000 on a van that's just basically, I don't know, on its last legs?
Oh, Prajesh. Oh God, I don't. That's a good question. I don't know. I didn't have a car back home in Taranaki, so I thought, righto, how about I just buy a van and I can do a bit of freedom camping for the summer. I can go around North Island and with my girlfriend, and we can go travel for a lot cheaper than we could if we went to hotels and whatever. I ended up going to Queenstown for a bit with my girlfriend Priya, and it was a great experience. It was very cheap, and I was it made me enjoy buying the van, even though it was on its last legs and only went 80 k's, 60 k's up a hill. It was pretty bloody miserable, I'll tell you that. But hey, I wanted to do it, and I always thought a van life would be me. So I've done that, got it out of my system, and now I'm moved on. But van life, it's a good time. Yeah.
How long did the drive take you to go back from Wanaka to Dunedin? Sorry, to New Plymouth.
Oh, it's tough because we had such a bit of a break between when I had to
Gotcha,
fly out
man.
of Christchurch.
Yeah.
I'd say it probably, oh God, I gave that van the beans, but it probably took me another I'd say about 20 hours all up, probably even more than that.
Yeah.
Which is, it's hard because we detoured Wanaka. And I think it drunk about 100 litres of $100 worth of petrol.
Oh, that's not too bad. Yeah.
To about 300 Ks, just
Oh,
under
okay.
300 K.
Okay.
Which is shocking. And with the petrol prices these days, God, I'd be a broke.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
got rid
But
of
hey,
that.
like you said, you've ticked it off the list. Done. You've done the van life.
Done. Yeah, it's done.
Yeah.
I've done that part of my life, so I can say, I owned a van.
Yeah. Oh, very, very cool. So let's talk. So you have and then let's talk about the logo for your thrift shop, because I find it very interesting. What is the, because it's got meaning, there's meaning to your logo. Do you want to explain what that meaning is?
So once again, for all you that don't know Taranaki and New Plymouth, the bridge that Prajesh just mentioned, the Te Rere Bridge, we've incorporated in our logo for our MP Thrift, our Instagram business. And we've also done a combination with the Taranaki, it's called the Taranaki Draft. It's an old Taranaki beer. I think it was back in the 90s. It's discontinued now, but we thought that because we sell a lot of beer branded clothes in rugby, that would incorporate the special bridge due to Geordie's passing and the Taranaki beer logo to make a very unique and meaningful logo to us, especially to me and Liam as well. And our group especially, we all enjoy a few beers, and Geordie loved a few beers. So we just thought, at the end of the day, it just means to us, and it's a cool logo, and we've got a lot of feedback for it. So it's got a lot of meaning.
It is pretty cool. And I guess, it also harks back to the fact that you guys are recycling old clothing, and Taranaki Draft is old, but it's being recycled as a different thing. So that's really, really cool.
Yes,
I really
another
enjoy
angle you look at it there.
Yeah. When I saw it, I was like, this is a pretty clever logo. So you have these two little businesses running. Anything else that's pottering away that you want to share about in your business, in that entrepreneurial mind of yours?
Oh, there's always ideas and things coming into my mind. Just random things like flipping things for money and like cars and so on. There's just my mind's a bit of a boggle and a bit of a procrastination's palace. So I've started to just hone in on my clothing brand. I've dumped a lot of money into it and a lot of time and effort. So I'm kind of putting everything else on the back burner right now. But it's going to be tough with uni, but I believe if I can do the Geordie thing last year, as well as studying, that I can get it done. The same thing this year. Yeah. So,
and is it live? Is it live? Can our listeners start looking at your stuff, or is it still in the design phase?
Oh yeah, for sure. I was about to drop some. I've got t-shirts and hats on the way, but I've got socks and stickers on the website right now at www.pest2society.com. Feel free to check it out and give the page a follow. I'm always keen for a chat. If anyone's ever wants to ask me about my experiences or anything like that, I'm always here to help. I believe in people speaking up, as you can tell. So good. Nice saying, I believe, is it ain't weak to speak. So I live by that.
Oh, I really like that, and it's really, it's quite timely, because I don't know if you've heard one of our podcasts with George Glover, and he's doing the crazy swim at the moment. He was going to be swimming from Kaikoura to Christchurch, but he couldn't do that because of the rain. So he's now swimming 20 times, I think, in a lake right at the moment. And one of the things that he runs at the University of Canterbury is something called Lads Without Labels, because as you and I know, and Tanya knows as well, in New Zealand, we have this real this real challenge with males speaking up and talking about what they're going through. So, the fact that you say that is really, really powerful, coming from a young man who's, hey, this is the world we live in, and shying away, not speaking it's not doing good for anybody, is it?
No, you're right. And everyone's got their demons. Everyone.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter
Yeah.
who you are, if you're a millionaire or if you're, a student. It doesn't matter. It ranges. Everyone's got their demons, what they battle. I'm no exception. I've got my ones. And yeah, I went and talked to someone last year about the whole thing about the passing of Geordie and the family member and the pressure of study and my business is all just pushing on me. And the party life as well in Castle. It was all boiling up inside. And yeah, I reached out to someone. The University of Otago has such a great help for mental well-being. Went over there, had a yarn, and honestly, it was great. And I couldn't recommend them anymore. Yeah, it's beating that stigma of males not speaking up. So I thought, bugger it, I'll be an example and I'll get out there and have a chat because I see people struggling, especially in my friend group sometimes about the passing of Geordie. And once we've had a yarn and a chat about it, I can tell you what, that we both feel better. So yeah, just get out there and speak up, I believe.
Yeah, and I love you mentioned that because, as you mentioned before, second year was amazing and it was fantastic. You had a great time, but also real life happens, right? You spoke about your family member not being well. You spoke about the pressures of exams, spoke about the passing of a really good, your best friend. And this all plays on you. And I was going to ask you, how did you deal with it? But obviously you knew you weren't coping. You knew you weren't coping. So you went and spoke to somebody. And when you did that, how did that make you feel? You broke the stigma, you went and you had your chat. Did you feel like, hey, it's not bad at all? There's nothing wrong here. Or did you
Yeah,
go, damn? Or did you go, damn, what am I doing here?
no, well, I'm a very open-minded person. I try to be. So I take, I do new things and I get out there and yeah, I see closed-minded being a bit of a disease, being closed-minded. So I'll get out there and try new things. So this is always a challenge for me, speaking up, especially when such tough situations just happen. But yeah, got in there. I was a bit nervous, like as anyone would be. But once I spoke up, I felt like way better. Weights off your chest, kind of feel, and I believe that I want to go back this year coming up, just have another catch up and a yarn, and they're just so helpful. If anyone's sitting on the fence out there wondering if they should speak up or not, I just believe, just go for it because it's just unreal. The feeling when you get it off your chest, they're so supportive in Otago, I know, and I'm sure other universities around the country are too.
Yeah. And I guess, even if you're not at a university, wherever you are, there will be a support service for you. So, just reach out for the support service and have a chat to them. The worst that could happen is they go, we can't help you right now. We'll hopefully find someone for you. But also, it doesn't have to be a professional. Like you said, you can speak to your mates and just give someone a call and go, hey, I'm going through this here. And, people are always willing to listen. Oh, good people are. Tana, have you ever had to do this? Have you had an experience?
In second year I did, and I was going through a tough time, and so I went and talked to the counselor, and it was a big culture shift. And I think especially because in my family particularly, we don't really talk about the deep things that much. Like I talk to my mum about it, but I don't really talk, with my brothers or with my dad. It's a big, I don't know that it's a stigma thing, but it's never popped up as, getting into those real deep and meaningful chats. But I think I was definitely nervous going into that space and I didn't know what I was going to get from it or, how I was going to explain the feelings I was going through. But they do an amazing job. And I think just having someone that you don't know, who's still there, sitting there willing to talk. And I think that's what I needed because usually my problem is not it's not that I don't want to share it with people, but it's because usually the people I go to share to are my close friends. And, usually when you go to someone you're close with, there's always things that you want to protect them from, or you want to show that, you aren't struggling with these things. And that's really tough. I understand that. And so that's why for me, I just find it's easy to talk to someone who, will sit there, will listen, will, give advice, but they don't have to be, have any associations with me. And that's just preference. That's, everyone has different things. Some people, have a really close sibling or family member that they can go to, friend, whatever it is. But for me, it was, definitely opening up. And I think as I move into honours this year, I've already reached out to support services to try and, organise it more regularly. And that's me being aware that, as I go forward, it's not that I necessarily am always struggling, But if I set this up, I can always go and only spend 5-10 minutes there and go. You know what? This week I'm all good. I'm fine, sweet. Don't worry about it. But there are going to be weeks where I don't realize that things are impacting me until I get into that space. So it's about challenging myself to go. You know what? This is the time for me to exactly as Lockie says. Just go in open minded and see what happens in this space.
Yeah, and I love what you said there because too many times we seek help. We seek help when it's a bit too late. Like things have already happened, it's a bit too late. And like you said, you've preempted whatever's going to happen. And sometimes the most help happens when you go and speak to somebody and they know that you're all good. So when things go really bad, they can tell the difference. So if someone came to me when they're really bad, I would have no gauge to what good is, right? Whereas for the two of you, I've known you for a long time now. So if you come to me and have a chat and like, oh, this is not Tane as normal. This is not a bit like when you went through a bit of your stuff, Tane. I could just tell straight away you're not, but that's because I knew who you were. And luckily the same thing will happen with you because I know what your vibe is. But that's not just with me, that's with anybody, right? So if you vibe with somebody and then when the vibe is not syncing, you've got that help there straight away, as opposed to you're just being normal. So really, really, really awesome that you both are reaching out and doing that there. Luckily, we've been speaking for almost an hour, basically. And we could keep talking because you've got a fascinating story and you can share quite a bit. I'm going to touch base now a little bit on before we round up, so you've gone away to Dunedin, you've done your stuff, you're doing your stuff, which is pretty cool. When you come back to New Plymouth and Taranaki, how does it feel when you get back on the farm? Do you still like how you go? This is my roots, or how does it feel for you? It's a little bit different.
Yeah, I love coming back to Taranaki. I've got such a great friend base here, and a loving family too. They are amazing. So I'm very, very fortunate. Yeah, I just come home, get back to the farm, and it's just a great feeling. Just have an open space, run with take the dogs for a run on the motorbikes, and just my sister and my mum are right into horses. So just even just to watch them going out for a ride and stuff, it's just it's quite a nice, refreshing, relaxing time being back away from the city. I find the city gets a bit too full on for me sometimes, and I like to go back to the farm. When I have kids in the future, I'm hoping to have some space in the farm for when they grow up too, because I believe that's the way to do it. So I love coming back to Taranaki. It's amazing.
Yeah. It's awesome because that's your grounding, right? That's where you are. That's your sacred space, essentially. Yeah. Lockie, so we're gonna round off the podcast, and our podcast is called Baskets of Knowledge. And every week we ask our guests through their life experience on all the cool things they've done and all the ups and downs they've had, what is one piece of knowledge they'd like to share with our listeners through your experience that you think would be helpful to anyone listening to this podcast?
I don't have a quote essentially. I might have said one throughout the podcast, but I'm just saying, there's going to be tough times in life. There's going to be some really, really tough times. Life throws you some really shit situations. But it's the way you deal with those situations, especially the tough ones that defines who you are. It's easy enough for everyone to go out there and be a real nice, loving person in the easy times, but when times get tough, turn into a bit of a sour, kind of sad person. But I'm just saying, when the times get tough, that's when your actions really show. So just keep pushing through. There's always light at the end of the tunnel, and life's amazing. Enjoy it. Just get out there and get it.
Yeah, no, I love that. It's great. Oh, hey, this is not professional. I love that because you've gone through that. You've gone through life has thrown you some really crazy curveballs, and life is going to throw everybody curveballs. Life is, a lot of us, not a lot of people, some of us hear this as well, are led to believe that everything should be perfect in life. Everything should be perfect, straight edges, smiley, smiley all the time. But that's not life. Life is not smiley, smiley. Life is not you being happy every single day. Life is not everything, you're getting everything you want. It's about challenges. It's about life throwing you curveballs. And like you said, some people crumble under that when life goes whole. But like you said, it's about how you approach that tragedy or that that down part. I have a saying that I listen to, and it's pretty funny. I think Joe Rogan says it, or somebody I listen says it, and he just goes, I'm not going to swear. He just goes, when it's sunny, everybody can go for a run. Everyone goes for a run when it's sunny. It's when it rains, who steps outside? That's the difference, right? And that's life, right?
Very good saying there, Joe Rogan. No, he's got it right. That's probably what I was searching for, something like that. But a few too many words. But anyway, that's probably summed it up right there.
That's all good. I probably paraphrased that I probably stole it. I'm going to claim it as mine, to be honest. Who cares about Joe Rogan? Awesome, Lockie. Tony, any last words for you for Lockie?
I think it's really awesome to see, both the highlights and the challenges. I think, when we talk about our journeys, we always like to talk about the good parts, but it's really, as we've said, a credit to your character in terms of being able to be open and, open about those conversations that are always hard to talk with. And I know that it's, for those listeners that really take in what you've been able to say, it will be amazing for them to, just feel like it's, they're not the only ones. And, everybody's challenges are different, but there's definitely things that we can, collectively agree on that will make those challenges just a little bit easier.
Yeah, no, brilliant. And Lockie, I'm just going to say, what a great story. You spoke about being brought up on a farm, then getting chucked into a boarding school. You're like, oh, what is going on? But you found your thing there. You found your purpose, I guess, communicating with people, and you found your people. And then you got thrust into going to university, and you were like, oh, what am I doing here? You embraced that. You spoke about the challenges of meeting all these new people, but not just challenges, the actual pleasure of meeting all these people. You spoke about having a friend in Brazil now, which wouldn't have happened if you had stayed at home. And then you spoke about and really appreciate how you spoke about the tragedy that's happened in your world as well. And it's not just a tragedy that's a small. It's going to be part of your life. It's going to be part of who you are as you go forward, and how you've used that to galvanize and get you going with your peers to society. I laugh when I hear that, because when I think about you, I don't think of you as a peer to society. I mean, you're probably the antithesis of that there, but it's pretty cool that you have that there. So that's galvanized you, and also the motivation with you and Liam for your thrift shop, which is pretty awesome. So thank you for sharing your story. There's so much we can talk about, and I'm pretty privileged to know you in real life as a person. So thank you for your story. Thank you for your time, and really appreciate it. Appreciate it a lot. And to our listeners out there, thank you so much for listening in. Do you want to say anything? Sorry, I cut you off there, Lockie.
No, that's all right. No, I was just going to say thank you so much, Prajesh and Tane. You guys you're doing a great thing with this podcast. I believe it's going to scale up. I believe it. I'm backing you. You'll be out there with the Joe Rogans one day, I hope so.
So do I.
Sounds good. So. And, it's been a great experience being on here, and I look forward to listening to the next people coming up.
Awesome. Brilliant. Thank you so much. And to our listeners out there, hopefully you've picked up something from this podcast, even if it's just one thing or whether it's many things, hopefully you've taken away something that you can implement in your life and think about how you can put into your basket of knowledge. Until we speak to you next time, don't forget to keep smiling, live the life the best that you can, like Lockie said, enjoy life. It's too short. You never know what's going to happen. Till then, go and find something to put into your basket of knowledge and keep smiling. Till then, bye everybody.
Thank you for listening to Baskets of Knowledge.
Yeah, we hope that you found something useful to put into your basket of knowledge. And as we said before, remember to put something little into your baskets of knowledge every week. And as always, feel free to like, comment, and share this podcast. Thanks, everybody. Bye.